2 days ago, I was with a patient, and a few hours after I saw him, he died. What's really sad is that at the beginning of the month, he was walking and talking. He was okay. After talking to the nurses, after looking at his chart, I was really confused because usually people in his state, they have some type of long-term disease. But I couldn't really find a reason for why he died so suddenly. The only thing that I could see was the surgery that he had. He had surgery and then he had complications from his surgery, so he had to go back to the hospital. They did more interventions. He went home, he went back to the hospital. He eventually ended up in the ICU. When I walked into the room, there were like 9 IV machines. He was on oxygen. His family was all around him. He was about to be admitted to hospice. He was admitted to hospice. So they stopped his drips. They stopped the aggressive measures. They had put a nasogastric tube because they were going to do tube feedings, but they stopped that. And within a few hours, he died. What really bothers me about this story is, like I said, a month before, he was walking and talking and eating. I recently read a book about marketing and personal branding. Authors of the book are Rory and AJ Vaden. The title of the book is Wealthy and Well Known. One of the ideas is that if you're trying to get your message out into the world, you should have just one word that describes the reason why your client, your audience is struggling with what they're struggling. I help Christian women overcome exhaustion and chronic symptoms like autoimmune symptoms. It was hard for me to come up with one word that describes the reason for the problem of exhaustion or autoimmunity. They said that this one word that you choose, it should be something that you get kind of riled up about, like you get upset about it or it makes you cry, it breaks your heart. When I thought about it, this is what breaks my heart the most about women who are struggling with their health, women who are exhausted, who have these weird chronic symptoms. This is what breaks my heart. Conformity. According to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, conformity, the definition of conformity is this: action in accordance with some specified standard or authority. I've mentioned this on the podcast before that the reason why I started this podcast, the reason why I wrote my book, Discover God's Health Wisdom, Exposing 8 Common Myths That Keep You Sick. The reason why I did all this is because it really broke my heart to see what happened in 2020. The world was going crazy. The world was listening to the so-called experts who didn't have their best interests at heart. After everything that I've seen in the pharmaceutical industry, everything that I don't agree with, every inefficiency, every conflict of interest, every problem, it just upsets me that sometimes, I'm not saying all the time, but sometimes people are sick and they don't need to be sick. I mean, I don't know this man's full story. I think he was only 66 or 67. But really, in my mind, uh, after I looked at his medical records and I was talking to the nurse, I really feel like he didn't need to die. But for whatever reason, they decided it was necessary to do the surgery. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he really did need that surgery. But let's just say that he didn't need it. Let's just say he could have done something different than having that surgery. In my opinion, he probably would have been alive right now with his sweet family who I had the pleasure of meeting. The issue of conformity can be applied to any area of our lives, right? We conform to the world's way when we put money over our family. We conform to the world's way when we decide to entertain with ourselves with things that are really just brutally violent, or things that are just evil or just really inappropriate. We're conforming to the world's way when we just worship entertainment and we're just numbing ourselves. When we numb ourselves with substances, with alcohol, with food, with whatever we choose to numb ourselves with. We conform to the world's way when we want to be right and we just argue with people instead of trying to keep the peace. And I'm guilty of this too. I am not, as the Bible says, always conformed by the renewal of my mind. So I'm not just recording this to point a finger. But as I've said a lot of times, I think that this is a huge blind spot for the church. We have basically been programmed to just do what the doctor says, to just do the surgery. If the doctor says to go go through the surgery, we go through with certain procedures, with certain prophylactic treatments, because if the doctor says that it's safe, it must be safe, right? We take a medication because we think that that's the only way we're going to get better. And hear me, I'm not saying that every medication is bad or that you shouldn't take any medication. Sometimes we just try supplement after supplement because we're trying to find a herbal remedy or something natural. Or we've tried 10 different diets and 20 different protocols and we're so confused, like I was when I lost 90 pounds because I was so confused about what to eat. Once again, I'm not saying that supplements are bad. I'm not saying natural remedies are bad. I love natural remedies. I'm saying that conformity is an issue when it comes to our health because God didn't put a doctor in charge of your body. God didn't put the natural health community in charge of your body. You're in charge of what happens to your body, and hopefully you're going to God first when it comes to your health. So basically, what I'm saying is don't follow the crowd, don't conform. Even if something is good, it might not be good for you. I was making YouTube shorts for this really old episode that I did about fish oil. I've been taking fish oil for over a decade. It's been so helpful for me, but in the episode, I talk about how my husband would take the same fish oil formulation that I did, and it upsets his stomach. Every body is different. Every body is unique. So just because I take fish oil doesn't necessarily mean that you should take fish oil, right? Just because the natural health community says you should eat kale every day, that doesn't necessarily mean that you should eat kale every day. The point is we should be going to God first. The doctor doesn't have a final say when it comes to our health. The natural health community does not get a final say. I encourage you to let God have the final say when it comes to your health. Don't fall into the trap of conformity. Scientists have been wrong and they will be wrong again. The medical community has been wrong a lot and they will be wrong again. Unfortunately, medical errors is one of the top reasons for death in this country. At the end of the day, maybe God will want you to get a surgery, maybe He won't. Before you undergo a surgery or take a new medication or change your diet, I just want to encourage you to ask God. Ask God what He wants you to do. He will give you wisdom if you ask for it. If any of this resonates with you, I'd love to talk it through with you. I offer a more energy strategy session to help you figure out what's actually driving your exhaustion or chronic symptoms and what a healthier next step might look like. Go to herholistichealing.com/services. I will talk to you soon. Thanks for listening today. If you like what you heard, would you take a minute to leave the show a review? I would love to connect with you at herholistichealing.substack.com. This content is for informational purposes only and is not meant to be medical advice.